Welcome to the next session of our Winlink help sessions here. And Bill's back again with another installment. So take it away, Bill.
Greetings, everybody. Thanks for being with us this evening. I'm coming to you from the radio room at the Seattle Red Cross. And when I'm not sharing my screen, you can see me in the background, or it's behind me, actually. It's a very nice radio room with HF, VHF capability, as well as Red Cross lower band VHF. And we've got a ham WAN connection, so we have a resilient internet system available, and a backup generator that actually we got working not too long ago. So life is good. So you got all that great equipment hooked up to your radio. You got your computer talking to the radio, and you are ready to do some Winlinking. But how do you connect? How do you get to the system? And by the way, I believe somebody has got their mic muted. Could you please mute your microphones? I hear a little bit of background chatter. I'm not sure where it's coming from. Okay, anyway, let's proceed.
Looks like it's W7JAA.
Okay, so there's a couple of different flavors. There's actually about 4 or 5 flavors or modes that Winlink gateways can use. And they're divided between HF gateways and VHF, UHF gateways. So in the HF world, there's VARA, which is fairly new. It's only been around about 3 or 4 years. There's PACTOR, which requires a physical modem, which is kind of expensive. And there's RDOP, which I have never used, and I believe it requires a sound card also. And then in the packet world, VHF, UHF Winlink, packet, which has been around for decades, the protocol is called AX.25. And then VARA FM, which just came on the horizon a couple of years ago by the same guy that invented VARA for HF. So that's pretty much our choices these days. If we're going to connect to the Winlink system over the radio, you're going to be using probably VARA the most, if you've got VARA near you. Anyway, so on the VHF, UHF side, what are we looking for in a gateway? It's got to be close to you. We're talking line of sight here. If it's up at a high altitude near you, that's a real plus, because that means you can hit it from anywhere in your general area. Ideally, the person that runs that gateway has backup power and some kind of resilient connection to the internet. Probably we'll start seeing people that add Starlink to their gateways. That would be kind of exciting. So as you work with Winlink, you're going to collect your favorite gateways, whether short distance or long distance. And this just comes from experience. It depends on where you live, depends on how many gateways you've got to choose from. You may not have many to choose from. I was corresponding with somebody from Yakima, Washington the other day, and they only had a couple near them, period. That was it. So the trick is finding the gateways. We started out in ham radio learning how to find repeaters, so we knew what to put into our radios. This is similar to that pursuit. You've got a radio, you've got a computer connected to it. Now you need to know where the gateway is, what its call sign is, and what frequency it's on. And gateways are always simplex. It's a simplex conversation. There is no offset in your radio. So here's 4 different ways. We'll cover the first 2 tonight, because the other ones you build up after some experience. You can go to the winlink.org website if you have internet service. So this is a good thing to do when everything's working normally, to learn how to use the gateway finding tools at the Winlink website. So this is what the map looks like when you go to winlink.org and you click on tools, and then you click on RMS map, which you can see is a tab at the top left. And there's a number of tabs that do other things as well. Some of them are quite interesting. So you may not be able to see it, but the next line down at the very top of the map, there's a series of what they call radio buttons, little white circles. The far left one has a blue dot in it, it says packet. So that means I told the map that I wanted to find packet gateways. And then to the right on that same line, you'll see the words service codes. The word public is already in there, but it's a good idea to put MCOM, the word EMCOMM, as a second service code and hit refresh. This means that you'll find gateways that aren't necessarily listed as public, but they are listed by their emergency preparedness teams, ARES groups, RACES groups, ACSs, whatever. And so that's a good way to be fairly inclusive in your search. Okay, so before we go any farther, let's talk about that bar at the top of the map. That's telling the map what modes you're looking for. And it doesn't tell you which is which ones are VHF, UHF, which ones are HF. So I've done that here for you. And it looks like at the two ends of the list are the only two that work on VHF, UHF. So that makes it kind of easy. You got packet on the far left, and you got VARA FM on the far right. Those are the two modes available on the VHF, UHF spectrum. Everything in between is HF. So that's kind of easy. You could definitely remember that. So you pick out what gateway type you're looking for. You put the word MCOM in the service codes box. You click the refresh button. And now you got a map that you can zoom in on and slide around on your screen and look up gateways in your general area. So looking at Seattle, I'm looking for VARA FM gateways in Seattle. And I zoomed in pretty tight. There's a couple on Vashon Island at the bottom left. There's a couple just next to the word Seattle. There's one in Bellevue. There's two on Mercer Island, and there's two in Newcastle. Well, how do you find out what those gateways information are? If you put your mouse over a push pin, it'll come up with the gateway call sign. And it's very important that you note any suffix. Most gateways have a suffix. It's called an SSID. So it's not just the call sign, but it's the call sign plus that suffix you have to know. That's what you're going to be telling your software to connect to. If you click on the push pin, you get a pop-up box that tells you everything about that particular gateway. So I clicked on the one on Mercer Island, W7MIR-11. He's on UHF, 70 centimeters. There's a grid square in case you're lost. And it tells you again that it's a VARA FM or VARA FM wide gateway. That's everything you need to know to connect to it. You would dial that frequency on your radio. Make sure you're set to simplex. Low power is usually plenty. You put the call sign into Winlink Express and you connect. Okay, let's look at some packet gateways around Seattle. Looks like there's a sparse bunch here and there. Same idea. You would click on it, get the information for that gateway, see if you can connect to it. And you write down the ones that work well for you. Okay, here's a packet gateway put up by Eastside Fire and Rescue, W7EFR. This one's W7EFR-10 on VHF. And I happen to know, and in fact, it says in the comments down below, it's up on Cougar Mountain. I live at the base of Cougar Mountain. I can hit this guy. This is a good location. It's not as fast as VARA. It's very slow compared to VARA FM, but it's there, and I can reach this from anywhere in Seattle with a little bitty antenna. Well, okay, let's dial out a little farther. We're looking for distance now. HF gateways. If you got HF equipment and you're ready to do some HF Winlink, distance is less of a problem. So you can zoom out, start looking around, and of course you have to take band conditions in consideration, and we will figure out that shortly. Notice some of the push pins now have H's on them, the letter H. That means it's a hybrid gateway. If it loses internet connectivity, it'll automatically forward any messages that come to it over the radio to some other gateway that does have internet. So that's pretty cool to know about those folks. The RMS map isn't as useful for HF though, because nearness is far less important on HF. I can reach stations 1,000 miles away pretty much as easily as I can reach stations 10 miles away if the band conditions are right. A lot of the HF gateways are set up to monitor multiple bands, but they're only going to let one station connect at a time. So if they're not answering, it means they're probably handling a call on a different band. But notice the 4 tabs at the top of the picture: 80 meter, 40 meter, 30 meter, and 17. So this guy is scanning 4 different bands, same call sign. So depending on propagation, you might be able to use that gateway, whether you're close to it or far away. And again, the H on the push pin indicates that they will auto forward messages that come to it via radio. By radio, they'll forward them back out again to other gateways that eventually will get connected to the internet and to the Winlink system. Okay, we figured out how to use the map to find gateways. Let's find gateways while we're in Winlink Express. There's a lot of information that it gives you. Here I'm in a packet Winlink session. You can tell what kind of session it is at the top left next to the checkerboard icon. So I told Winlink Express, give me a packet Winlink session. This came up. It had a word with my sound card modem, so it's ready to connect. Well, there's no channel yet, though. I haven't told it where to connect. So I'm going to click on channel selection.
Thank you, Ron.
And somebody's got audio on in the background. Please mute your microphones. Okay, so when I click channel selection, I get another box that pops up. I get this interesting spreadsheet, the packet channel selector. Assuming I've got an internet connection at the moment, which you can't always assume, you could click at the top where it says update table via internet, and it will get all the latest information on active on the air gateways. And you can then play with the table once it's done updating. You can sort by frequency, you can sort by grid square, you can sort by distance. So I decided to sort by distance because that's really the most useful. Notice there's a guy really close, 4 miles away, the second one that lives, N7CFO. I know him. I use his station. There's that high altitude one, the next one down, W7EFR-10, only 4 miles away from me. So I've got some packet stations that I can start trying immediately. All you have to do then is double click on the line that has the station you're interested in, and it returns that call sign and frequency back to the session box. I'm gonna go back to the session box and you see. So right now you don't see the frequency in there. There's a call sign of a guy I know in Issaquah, WT0F. That's a great call sign. Okay, so let's look up some VARA HF stations inside of Winlink Express. I switched to a VARA HF session. Says that at the top. I clicked on channel selection. I get a more interesting table. It's got some pretty colors on it. Because besides downloading the information about the active gateways, it also uses my current grid square to figure out how the propagation might work between me and them. And let's see, I didn't sort it in any particular way, but notice the blue highlighted line, VE6, he's a Canadian station, 564 miles away, it says, at a bearing of 40 degrees. So that's just a little bit northward of east of me, 564 miles. And the propagation is over 50% likely. And he's going to be on 40 meters, 7064.5. So that's one I would probably try. That's a good place to start. Zooming in on that to show you more of that information. Frequency, what kind of VARA they're doing, which is the wide mode, V2300 on HF. Give you grid square, distance and bearing. Here at the Red Cross, if I want to talk on 40 meters, their antenna is fixed. It's a inverted V for 40 and 80. So I don't have to worry about rotating it. If I want to do 10, 15, 20, or 30 meters, we've got a nice Comet antenna on a rotator on a 100-foot tower. And I've been playing with that for the last hour here today just to refresh my memory of how things work. But I don't need that here to do 40 meters. When I select a station by double clicking the station's line of info, that information is then copied back to the session window. So here's a picture of what the session window would now look like if I had double clicked on VE6HM. Notice this dial frequency with the red box around it. That's not the same as the frequency that he's listening on, because we're doing upper sideband. So I tell the radio 7063.0, but to the left, you see the center frequency is actually going to be 7064.5. So you don't have to worry about doing the math. You just dial the frequency that Winlink Express tells you to dial. Since your radio has been told to do upper sideband, you're off and running. Click start. Winlink Express starts calling. Okay, what I'm going to do is switch to another computer that's actually hooked to an HF radio, so I can show you this stuff live. Let's get out of that. All right, there is Winlink. Let me close that. Let me close that. So I'll just go over the same things I just did. Let me change my screen around just slightly. Except I just closed Winlink, which I didn't really want to do. Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. All right, let's try this again. Let's go into Winlink Express. Okay, now I can set it so I can actually see it. And I've got the computer connected to an ICOM IC756 Pro 2. It's a pretty good old radio, got a very nice video display on the front. It doesn't have a sound card built in, so we've got a signal link connected to it. And I'd also have a Pactor modem connected to it. So I have the advantage of coming in and using a nice station with a Pactor modem. So I can do Pactor style HF, and I can also do VARA HF. Okay, so let's pick a session type here. Let's do Pactor so you can see what that sounds like. So I click open session. It opens the session box. And when you use the Pactor modem, it can also control the radio. So as soon as I opened this dialog, it dialed the radio automatically to the frequency that shows 14096.0. That isn't necessarily where I'm going to call, but as soon as that number came up, it gave instructions to the radio to change to that. I didn't even have to touch the radio. So let's look at the channel dialog and see what I might be able to hit. I'm going to sort it by frequency. So I clicked the frequency column. That's where the blue thing is. And I'd like to do 20 meters because 20 meters is pretty reliable most of the time. So let's go down to the 14 megahertz stuff and see what we got lurking around. Now this guy VY1WLK, he's over 1,000 miles away. And 336, he must be up in like Alaska or something, is way the heck north. What would that be? Northeast, northeast, something like northeast. We could try my buddy in Mexico, XE2BC. They're pretty reliable. And did you notice, let me go back in briefly. That's 1,084 miles away. He's just south of the Mexican border in San Diego. Okay, so I'm going to select that. Radio's already changed to 14094. Notice it says bearing. In this case, I got to turn the antenna in that direction because I'm going to be doing 20 meters, and my antenna for 20 meters is on a rotator. So let's dial that up to about 163. And I'm going to turn the volume up on the radio. I've got monitor mode on, so you should be able to hear both sides of the conversation. Let's see if it'll connect. Hey, we're in. Not too shabby, folks. 1,084 miles on 100 watts to an extremely reliable station. Can you guys hear the audio okay?
That's not coming through very well, Bill.
It is not. And it gave my call sign in CW at the end because it's signing off just like a normal conversation. Okay, no messages came in. So I'm going to send something. I'm going to send something to Steve. What is it, WA7PTM, Steve?
Yep.
Okay. Test message. Do you want me to include your normal Winlink, your normal email address as well? So you get it right away?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. No, I'll
Okay.
see it right away.
Okay. Now is the time. Bill was here. Okay. I'm going to post that to the outbox because now we know we can connect to an out of area station over 1,000 miles away. I've got one message in the outbox. I'm going to click open session again, and we'll connect to XE2BC again. Or maybe not. He might have picked up another call on another band. So, oh, there we go. We're in. I don't know if you can see it. Do you see the P2? Now it says P3. Just above the white area, it says what Pactor mode we're in. Pactor 3 is the highest that we can legally go. We're doing 1,400 bits per second. Now it's backed off to 200. Ooh, 3,200. So it's shipping my message. The green bar goes left to right, indicating I'm sending a message out. That's the end of the session. So it doesn't take very long to send a very small message. This is not super fast, but that was Pactor modem, which is a very good modem. If you can afford it, I can't. Well, I could. I might have to skip lunch a few times. Notice, by the way, when their node answers, he tells you that he's got solar backup and HF
I'm on
auto.
a Zoom call.
Somebody's got background audio on. Steve? Hello?
We have no idea. You need us a cat set?
Okay, so that was a Pactor session. Let's try Vara. So I'm going to close the Pactor session window. And I'm going to tell Winlink Express, okay, we'd like to do a Vara HF session. Not going to use the Pactor modem. This time I'm just going to use a little $100 signal link.
That you usually have.
Steve?
That you usually have.
Steve? Steve?
For a couple days, and then he's back tonight, and then comes back up on Monday the 7th.
Steve? Hello, Steve? Never mind.
Wanted to see if that was possible for dropping Jack to Stickler on.
Well, let's see. I'm gonna have to consult with Mom on this one. We could keep them in the master bedroom. They're used to now running around the house though. And then let Jackson Nibbler wander around. Which they would be fine.
Okay, let's go on with this. We're going to try a station I just used earlier. He's in North Las Vegas. He's got a really funny call sign, KO0000. And his response on his gateway always cracks me up. It's something science fiction-y or Star Trek or whatever. I just laugh every time I see his call sign, Coo. But he seems to have a very reliable station, so I can get in pretty well. I'm going to try him on 20 meters. His bearing from me is 153. So I've cranked the antenna a little bit so it's pointing in his direction. Let's see what Vara sounds like. Ah, there we go. We're connected.
Well, I'm gonna say probably
867 miles, 100 watts. And he's telling me it's Klingon Outpost 83.
so. When would you be dropping them off?
Cool. We had a good, successful session, also at a pretty good distance. So if Seattle
Okay, so
got crunched by the Cascadia Rising chunk of earthquake that's going to take us into the ocean, I'm pretty sure Las Vegas will be okay. They'll still have internet. So if I'm still alive here, I can get messages out of the area to anybody with an email address or even a cell phone. And they can actually reply to me. So this is pretty powerful stuff. And as I said, I'm only using 100 watts. Got a good antenna on a good tower, an antenna that I could rotate so it's directional. But not too shabby, 867 miles. And let's see, we got a couple of questions in the chat. Looks like, oh, Jim gets to see Pactor. You better believe it. It's nice to have one to play with. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but I can share it again if anybody wants me to demo anything further. That's basically what I wanted to cover, but I would expect some questions. And of course, you folks are going to experiment with your own setups.
I noticed that your Vera FM on Vera HF, excuse me, that you had a waterfall. Is that normal?
Yeah, the software shows you not only a waterfall, but it'll increase the number of boxes if it's got a good path. So it's going to use more simultaneous tones if it can. The idea is that it's doing multiple audio pathways down the same chunk of RF bandwidth. And that's why it competes nicely with a Pactor modem, and it's pretty forgiving of conditions. And all you need is a simple sound card or even a radio with a built-in sound card.
So with the Vera FM though, you don't see any waterfall, correct?
No, you get that as well. And in fact, it's much faster. You only get it on receive. You don't see the waterfall on the sending. So it's showing you information about the quality of the signal. Both the HF and the FM versions do show you that. And I can go back and demo that again if you want. I did not hook it up for VARA FM today. We can do that another time. I stuck with the HF gear, but I could pretty easily, I've got enough gear with me, so we could do that next time. That I could, we've actually got a guest position here in the radio room, and a guest, I can hook into the VHF UHF antenna, and we could do some VARA FM right here in the Red Cross, and switch back and forth between FM and HF.
Well, my version of Vera FM doesn't seem to give me a waterfall.
Well, you are talking about the radar thing at the top right corner of the screen, right?
No, I'm not talking about the big green square that is matrixed. I saw a waterfall on your screen below your Vera FM.
Well, maybe that is probably particular to the HF one then.
Oh, okay. That's why I was asking, because I don't have HF connected yet, and so I was just wondering if that was only for HF. You see,
and honestly, I don't really pay much attention to it. I listen to the conversation. I can hear the other station pick up, and
Actually,
I enjoy the sound of two aliens yelling at each other with too much caffeine in their systems.
The waterfall, if you're using sound modem, the waterfall shows up in sound modem.
No, I'm talking about Vera.
Right, but VARA is the software that's using the signal link, not sound modem. Sound modem is for VHF, UHF. That sound modem does packet.
Okay.
We're not doing FM right now. We're doing HF. So this is not a sound modem thing. VARA is the software that's telling the signal link how to act like a modem.
Right, but the Vera FM or Vera HF, they're both going to use a signal link.
That is correct. You're absolutely right. Same device.
Okay.
On the FM side, I'm told that the master's communications cards are faster.
Yes.
But some other people have told me that some of the signal links are doing VARA FM wide, which I did not know you could do. So that is not something I have tested myself. I've done VARA on signal link. I do VARA with the DRA cards. I pretty much use the DRA on VHF, UHF all the time. I haven't used a signal link on FM in quite a while, because I found that the master's card can do everything that a signal link does, and it does it a little bit better.
Right. I have both, but I have an older signal link. You have to have a signal link that has it's October, I believe, 2018 or newer. It does not have the red transformers in it. It has the black transformers in it. And or
to do wide.
To do wide, and you can to do the higher speed. And
yeah, that's the wide mode.
Right, and also you have to change a strap to do the wide on the signal link.
Okay,
And
I have not tried that.
yeah, so there's a couple things you need to do. There's an article, look it up on the SignalLink website. So,
Cool.
Barbera FM.
So anyway, that's what I've got for gateways, but I am at your disposal for questions or anything else on Winlink that you think I might be able to contribute something on.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, I was looking at the winlink.org website. In addition to the RMS map, there's also a propagation map that shows recent connections.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's really good. I didn't even go over those yet.
You can see your recent connections both to Las Vegas and Tijuana.
Yeah, let's I'm going to share my screen again. And I'm going to go to the winlink.org website. So let's get out of the thanks for reminding me of that. I didn't put that in the presentation because I was going to. And you've reminded me to go to the winlink.org website, show people how to go to the tools page. And then instead of going to the RMS map, let's go to the propagation map. Also, have you looked at the connection map? This is really slick. This shows, it says, wait for it, wait for it. Bunch of little dots are dropping in. I'm not sure that's what I wanted. Let's go to the propagation map. That's probably more exciting. There we go. Whoa. So it says blue dots are the receiving end. That's the RMS gateway that's being connected to. There's some people doing some Winlink out there. Lots going on in the US, but wow. Look at the UK, Ukraine. I love this giant moon launch where something started in China. 12,000 kilometers on 80 meters. Okay. This is pretty amazing. So you can spend days on the Winlink site just exploring how much information they're gathering in real time. I zoomed in some more on the United States. Holy cow. So you can apparently mouse over any connection and see the two call signs. One's the gateway, one's the user. That is amazing. Mouse over pathways for details. Blue is the station answering the gateway. There's somebody up a VA station in Canada. So we're giving you the two call signs and the two grid squares that are involved. That's on 40 meters. Very nice, Randy. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's probably a good way to figure out what gateways you might want to try to connect with.
Right.
If other people have been successful from your region recently.
Yeah, but that's why I like that propagation information inside of Winlink Express very much too, because they're always updating the information about any particular gateway and monitoring all the gateways to see which ones are up. So if there's a green dot, it's been checked on in the last few hours, and that's encouraging. But that table that we were looking at lets you find the ones you're likely to get into. It's not always only the green ones. I've had success getting into yellows as well. Radio is weird. It's all black magic as far as I'm concerned. But I've learned a lot about HF just watching how this stuff works. And for instance, I'm on the West Coast, but as it gets later here, it's dark on the East Coast already. So I might be able to get into East Coast stations much better because the atmosphere is changing. Randy, did I miss any steps in our conversation tonight?
No, I think that was pretty good.
Cool.
Covered what I know about it anyway, and I learned some new things too, so thanks.
And I'm learning too. Every time I put something together to help you folks, I am finding things that I didn't know. And I've been messing with Winlink for 15 years. It is a rich and varied part of ham radio, and I enjoy it more and more, especially as I keep finding great uses for it. And other people keep saying, well, can you send a spreadsheet? Or, yeah, can you send a photo? Yeah. I thought you could only talk on the radio. No, we can do a lot of things with our radios. And sending digitized information is one of the many tools that we're allowed to use.
Bill, if you go up into the upper left-hand corner where it says all,
Copy that.
and go ahead and pull it
Ooh.
down, you can select the band, a particular
Oh.
band.
Well, let's see how 20 meters is doing, because I've had good luck with that today. That's nice. Thanks. I didn't play with that. And we can also change the map to satellite if we want. That's kind of interesting. Let's see what other bands. Let's zoom out a little bit. Yeah, there's a world of information at winlink.org. They do a really nice job. There's a couple over on Hawaii. There's a Pactor station, Pactor 3, Pactor 4. I have hit Venezuela from here. I connected to a Winlink gateway on 100 watts in Venezuela. I think that's on 20 meters, 1,700 miles. It wasn't a very good connection, but Vara made the connection anyway. It was just a stretch that I thought I'd try, and it worked. Pretty trippy. All right, I'll stop share there.
So here's a picture of the two Winlinks,
Okay. Yeah, we can see that pretty well.
and you'll see the one with the red transformers. That's the older one.
We don't see a red transform. Oh, I see on the left. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Pre-2018, and the one on the right is the black transformer.
Well, I'm sure my signal links are much older than 2018.
So, and then you have to change one of those straps down there, the yellow red straps, from I think 5 to 4 for wide. And also it suggested that behind the transmit button to change the strap there too. So you're looking at a strap right there. I think it's J6.
Okay.
Get just a little bit more oomph out of it if you need. So,
And interestingly, Masters Communications makes a DRA 100 that is basically their copy of a signal link.
right.
And I think that probably represents the newer version that you've got as well.
Yeah, well, that goes straight into the signal link box using the knobs on the outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Or well, you can buy it from Masters Communications box and all if you want.
Yep.
One of my customers here, or a ham colleague, got one, and I'd never seen the 100. But it's nice to have all the adjustments and everything available.
Yeah, I'm going to attempt to. I bought some of those transformers, and I'm going to attempt to replace the red transformers with the black one. The black
Okay.
is surface mounted, but I still have a technique I think I could use to get that to work.
You are gutsy. Go for it. Cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Anybody have any Winlink successes they want to share that they've been doing last couple of weeks? Trying things for the first time, gateways you haven't got into before, gateways that you've done. Randy is a newcomer to Winlink HF. Randy, where have you been connecting?
Well, we've been out of town the last few weeks.
Oh,
but
that's
when
just
I
no
got back.
excuse.
I did manage to connect to one in BC again, so it's
Cool.
still working.
Have you tried that guy in Mexico, XE2BC?
No, I haven't, but I'm anxious to try that now.
They have an awfully good mountain. Whatever they're doing down there, those guys have put something up amazing.
Yeah.
I can generally hit them 99% of the time. They're monitoring multiple bands. Same with the guy in North Las Vegas, KO0000. You pretty much can't forget his call sign.
Right.
And so for the last few years, I've been collecting HF gateways that I can generally hit back and forth across Canada. Abbotsford's got some nice stations. BC, that's obviously not far for us. I don't
Yeah.
think I've done Hawaii yet. I got to try reaching west and see how far I can go. But I'm always looking to see how far can I do this Winlink thing? How far can I get a signal reliably if nothing's working here? I just enjoy that pursuit.
Maybe we could find a bunch of people here that have favorites and put them all into a combined list and then share those.
That's a great idea. We could stick a Google spreadsheet out there with permission for everybody to play in it and start collecting those. I can certainly contribute a few.
Ray,
But-
can you set that up?
Yeah, sure.
I was
Yeah,
trying to
I'll
get
send
Ray
you a
to,
link when I've got it set up, and I'll put some of my favorites in it. And as long as everybody has a Gmail address, they'll be able to make changes to it. If not, they can just email it to you or me. But yeah, it's that kind of collaborative thing is how we all learn and share this stuff. I don't know it all. I am still fairly new to this, especially I am not HF experienced. 99% of the HF I've done is Winlink. I don't rag chew. I'm a computer guy. I'm a insecure geek. I hide behind my computer, but I can send email over the radio, and I've been learning how to do that. And that seems to be useful to a lot of people, especially emergency planners.
So this is Ray. Yeah, I can do something like that. We're still figuring out exactly how we want to do this access, but yeah.
yeah, I'd like to be that to be an NTMC resource. I mean, we'll give people credit for who contributed it.
Yeah, because it also gives people some real world targets. It's like, well, if I've had good luck from Seattle getting into so and so in Mexico, that's a pretty good reach. That's almost 1,100 miles. I bet a bunch of you can hit that. But obviously, the Canadian stations are closer. But don't be afraid of distance. That's what I find exciting about how far and how fast radio signals can move information perfectly, not a single character left out. That turns out to be something that folks find useful, and it's fun. And we can even communicate with non-hams, which is rare in ham radio. That's an interesting side benefit.
So I have a question.
Sure.
A few weeks ago, I got my signal link to work on Vera FM because I was just using my DR and 70. And today I had torn my system all apart and I put it back together again. Anyway, today I've been trying to get my signal to work, signal link on Vera FM with no success. I know that I have to change in the PTT in the Vera FM app to Vox rather than RA board, but it doesn't. Is there something else I have to change to make that work?
For a signal link, not that I'm aware of. Did you try the auto tune feature?
Yeah, that doesn't seem to work.
Because usually as auto tune cranks up its level, you'll see the Vox start kicking in. If the Vox doesn't kick in, then there's something else wrong.
It does. Let me think.
Because it's got to find a level that it can trigger that Vox.
Right.
So the reason I like the DRAs because VARA FM talks directly to it.
Right.
There's no need to play with Vox. It's RA board is built into the VARA FM support.
Yeah.
And in fact, the VARA HF too.
Yeah, it was transmitting. So
Okay.
it transmits ping and when I do the
Be sure to listen on another radios. I've found sometimes that if there's something wrong, a carrier is going out, but there's no VARA content.
Hmm.
And then that, one of the things I found, if you haven't upgraded your VARA FM software in a while, just go get the latest version. You copy your registration key into it, and it just takes a couple of minutes to replace the old with the new. I generally put them in a new folder, so if I screw something up, I can always go to the previous one, and they're all in the root of my C drive. So it might say VARA-FM-412. That might be the version. Well, I think they're at a much higher number by now.
Yeah, I'm running 423.
Yeah, that sounds like one of the latest, if
Mhm.
not the latest. So also try another computer. Sometimes a fresh install. I still struggle sometimes with weird, inexplicable problems on a computer that I've been using reliably. Same computer, same VARA card, same sound card, same radio. Worked yesterday, doesn't work today. And I hate those times, but you can get past it. And one of the best ways to get past it is switch something.
Yep.
Different device, different radio. Often it's just the computer, something in the sound software, the way Windows talks to sound devices. I don't have an explanation most of the time. I just bang on it till it works.
Yeah, I had an older computer that for some reason Winlink stopped working because it needed the .NET installed, and I tried installing, and it was an older computer laptop.
Like what, Windows 7?
No, I think it was earlier than that. I think it might have been Vista or.
Yeah, I haven't tried anything older than 7, but it should work. But as far as the .NET upgrades, I'm not sure how those would work with an older. Windows 7 is basically free at this point. So if you need to, you can get a used Windows 7 laptop, like probably $50. But yeah, Winlink Express does not seem to be picky. But again, I have not gotten older than 7. I have not tried Vista or XP.
You can get, and we're going to do this for some of our Go kits in our county. And I actually ordered one too. You can get laptops for about $85 with Windows 10.
Sure.
And just perfect for putting in a Go kit. And
yeah, you don't need much performance. It's not like you're doing video editing or anything. It just has to be Windows. Cool, good stuff.
Although
Anybody
Billy,
else?
like the laptop, you said the Windows laptop I have is not strong enough. So
Well, your Windows is running terribly. If Windows is running terribly, everything you try to do is going to be terrible. So spend a little bit, get a, if you're going to do outdoor stuff, get a tough book, but it doesn't need to be new. It definitely doesn't need to be fancy, but you want, I think, didn't you have like 2 gig of RAM or something in that thing? Yeah, Windows is choking. That's like trying to tow a boat with a 4-cylinder car.
yeah, you need at least 4. I mean,
well, realistically, you need 16.
Yeah.
If you want Windows to run really great, RAM doesn't cost much. Get more RAM. Many computers are easily upgradable for cheap. You go to the website crucial.com. They got a free gadget that you download and run on your computer. It gives you an analysis and instantly tells you if it's upgradable, how much it would cost. You don't have to buy it from them, but it gives you exact specs that you could take down to the corner computer store and say, put this in, please. I use that all the time because many people's laptops are still, they're able to hold more RAM than they came with. And especially on older machines, it's really cheap because the RAM is not in demand anymore. The prices are way down. I don't even mind getting used chips from my favorite surplus store. I don't care. They'll probably work just fine.
What was the name of that website again?
Crucial, CRUCIAL.com. They're in Boise, Idaho. They are a large memory manufacturer. But right on the homepage, they say, you can either go shopping by brand and model, or you could just say, analyze my computer. And they put this little widget on your computer and it runs for a couple of minutes and it pops up and says, okay, here are your options. cheapest upgrade you can give. The next is putting a solid state drive in your computer. That's also speeds it up, especially for laptops. Laptop spinning drives are very slow. As soon as you put a solid state drive in, and they're cheap, they're really gotten cheap. I bought some 120 gigs the other day for $20 a piece. And they're just for EOC laptops that are used for Winlink and not much else. We didn't need big drives. Literally $60. I upgraded 3 machines. So I would recommend more space than that for a personal laptop, but 500 gig you can get for $60 or $70 from Samsung. And that's a 5-year warranty on that drive. And it's pretty easy to clone them. So you copy everything from the old drive to the new, you turn off the laptop, you swap the drive, you're exactly in the same shape, but everything runs faster. And your computer is less likely to die. That's my computer side of my experience talking. But if you're hooking computers to radios, okay, now we're in the computer support business. So you get computer support advice whether you ask for it or not.
I got one more question, Bill.
Yes, sir.
I've got Vara working, but since I just started using Winlink recently, I've never tried even with packets. Is there any point in learning how to use that? Are there
Yeah,
situations
because there's a
where I
lot of
won't be able to use
places
Vara?
around that don't have Vara.
So if I'm traveling, I might have to use packet somewhere
Right.
else.
Right.
Good to
And to me,
practice
it's just a backup strategy. There's some good packet stations on the east side at high altitude. Sammamish Water Tower
Mhm.
and Cougar Mountain. I can hit them from anywhere in Seattle. So if I'm having trouble with any of the Vara stations in Seattle, let's say Seattle got, hit with some utility outages, but I can hit reliable gateways on the east side. There's Varas over there too. But I've been using the W7 EFRs a lot, East Side Fire and Rescue, and they're up high. That one on the Sammamish Water Tower, I don't know how many feet that is. It's way up there, and you can just hit that from anywhere in Seattle. So yeah, it's good to learn because all you got to change is one program. You add the sound modem program to your computer, and you
I think
tell
I have that even. I just haven't used it.
yeah, and it's more tricky to set up than Vara. Vara, there's zero setup. There's specific settings you got to put in the sound modem, but they're well documented. And if you can't find them, just let me know. But it's just good to have that as a backup tool set, in my opinion. And every once in a while, for some reason, maybe some of the Vara gateways go down in Seattle. The ACS guys are having problems. I'll just dial over to a packet station. It's slower, but I can hit something that works. Or they're running an exercise and all the gateways are super busy, but they're all using the ACS gateways. And one of my personal complaints is that they don't teach in ACS to find a gateway that works. That's more important than using one of ACS's gateways. Doesn't matter which one you use.
Right.
Get the traffic sent. Move your traffic, get it into the system, however you can get it into the system, and being able to connect. We've got gateways all around us, but you got to practice this.
Yeah.
There was a comment, Steve. Did I miss something? I don't know of any such thing as an inexpensive backdoor modem because it's proprietary. There's no clones available.
Well, I've heard that that's available for 4, but some of them do 1 and 2. There's supposedly some software that does that, but I haven't looked into it in ages.
I don't believe there's anything but, backdoor itself cannot be duplicated, not legally. It belongs to one company in Germany.
I'm aware of that.
And why would you want to do it if you can't do backdoor 3? The whole point is that backdoor is really good in poor conditions. That's what the share system uses.
I just can't afford that.
Well, we don't need it. That's the beauty of our HF. This guy changed the whole battlefield for us. Vara HF replaces backdoor modems. That's my opinion. Backdoor, if you're doing shares, if you've got an agency that needs shares access, like the Red Cross here, we need a Pactor modem. They're not doing VARA. But if you're not doing shares, VARA HF is everywhere. It's been very well accepted by the ham Winlink gateway people. So I'm not planning to buy a Pactor modem anytime soon. I'll be happy to help my agencies buy them. Once in a while, we get a grant or something, and we can, add a couple. We've got one at the Seattle EOC. We've got one at North Seattle College's radio room. Got one here at the Red Cross I can use. I don't have a radio here that I can do shares on. I have to have something that's Mars cap capable, but I probably will buy one of those myself. The Red Cross has no money, so I'm not expecting them to buy one. That's all I got, folks. It's 6 o'clock. I'm available for questions. I'm not running off. Or if you want to try some peer-to-peer HF Winlink, I can do that from sitting right here, where you don't need an infrastructure at all. That's a whole nother thing. We haven't even planned to talk on that yet, but it's very cool to learn.
Well, I gotta take off, so long.
All right. Thanks for being here, Arnie. Let's see, Vern, I missed your question earlier. Are you still here?
Yeah, I am. I was just curious, trying to get it in my mind how this works. So the difference between using FM and HF is the only difference the gateways? Do they all end up going to a common message server? Do they use the same servers then?
Yeah, all the gateways in the world connect to the Amazon Web System, AWS backbone. The Winlink system is hosted on AWS. A few years back, it was hosted on 5 servers worldwide that talked to each other by internet and radio and backed each other up continuously. Well, that's been replaced by the Amazon system. But you're absolutely right. Every gateway is supposedly connected to the internet all the time. That's why, though, it's good to note some of these hybrid gateways on HF that are configured so that if they lose internet, they will continue to attempt to move messages by radio only.
How many of those Amazon servers are there?
They've got data centers all over the world. I have no idea, nor do I care. That's the business they're in. Apparently, the Winlink development team felt strongly that that was a really good move to ensure a very, very dependable infrastructure for the Winlink system. But they're into backup. As far as I know, their servers are still available, and you can. It's possible to fall back to those if for some reason Amazon went down, which I don't expect, but these things happen.
We don't have a Vera FM in Yakima at all. In fact, we only have one gateway. Well, they say
Well,
3.
Maybe your local areas group could put one up. Doesn't cost much.
Well, I went with a different software and its system, and it seems to be working fine. So
That's fine. But once you see the speed of VARA FM, that's why so many of our gateways here in Seattle have switched over. We're talking 10 to 20 times the speed, which completely changes the way you can use Winlink to move information that might be critical, like photographs or spreadsheets of needed supplies and medications. You don't have to wait so long, which means more traffic gets passed because their connections are very short-lived. I couldn't believe that I could send a 100K file in less than 2 minutes. And I've got easily a dozen VARA FM gateways within reach. So as long as I can get to one that's working, I can get that content moved. And that's why, I mean, ACS went nuts, but so did several other groups around us. And apparently there are stations that do both. Apparently you can set up a hybrid FM gateway that does packet and VARA. I don't know how to do it, but I know there's people out there that do, because I've looked on the maps and I've seen the same call sign at the same location on both the packet map and on the VARA map. And it's like, oh, okay, they found a way to set it up both ways. That's kind of cool. You don't leave all the old folks behind. You can handle the new people, but your gateway is listening both ways. That sounds very useful.
I've tried a leave our HF a
Those
couple times.
packets
And
ever expire?
Wait, we got two people talking. I'm sorry. Somebody was saying something about VARA. Was that Vern?
yeah, I was playing around with the VAR HF and I hooked into a gateway in Olympia. I mean, tried it several times and it just went right away. So, I mean, it
Okay.
connected very quickly. So,
What gateway were you trying to reach in Olympia? Let me see if I can get into it.
now you're asked, I have to, I don't know.
Well, no, I could look on the map. Let's, I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah, I mean, I connected right away with it every time I tried. So that was pretty cool.
And you were on VARA HF, right? Okay, let me open a session. And let me see if I can find an Olympia.
Yeah.
Well, we could also look on the map. Let me look, let me sort by distance. I'll get the guys that are really close and that will, that'll narrow it down. Because Olympia is only about 60 miles from me.
You like great CBs?
But she can teach you. Well, I guess it would cover teach it or, you know, if I have a cat in the future.
And Vern, do you remember what band you were on?
I'm gonna look at that right now. I'm gonna guess I was on 80.
Okay,
Um,
I can sort on 80.
That's how it should be. That's-
Yeah, I think it was
K7HNV, does that sound familiar?
I think W7 PLC, is that Olympia?
Yeah, I see him on 80 meters, W7 PLC, 56 miles, bearing 214.
It was 112 for me, yeah.
Okay, well, let me change antennas here. Take me a second. That's why I thought I'd try working from here so we could actually do some live stuff if we wanted to. And I had fun doing that tonight. Okay, I'm on the inverted V on the roof, which is 40 and 80. And let's see, let's dial them up. So I need to switch to 3585.4. Oh, that's definitely wrong. Okay, 3585.4. So I don't have to rotate it because it's a fixed antenna.
I didn't send a message. I just
Yeah, I'm in.
I did a couple times and it connected and yeah.
I'm sorry, Vern, I had the volume up. Say again.
Yeah, I didn't have any trouble connecting with it. I just kind of played around just to see if I could. And
Well, when you get connected, send some messages. I mean, that's how you really, get the confidence up is mess with it, send yourself stuff to your normal email and back. But yeah, it definitely picked right up. Yeah, 80 meters is great for short range.
I did use the FM today to deliver some traffic. So I thought that was kind of cool. I just got a response saying, oh yeah, we got that. So
Yeah. Also, by the way, I found a robot that's really great that you can email to and it emails you right back, which means you can instantly find out if a gateway has a live internet connection. And that's really useful, especially if you're not sure. You want to get a message to somebody and you need to get to a gateway that actually is connected to the internet. So you send email to query@saledocs.com. I will put that in the chat. That's all you got to do. Sale docs. This was put up by the sale mail people, but it's free and anybody can use it. And it'll send you back directions on how to use it. It'll send you news and weather and all sorts of stuff by email. It's for people that are out in the blue water that don't have any internet at all, but they're able to get onto email via satellite or Winlink or sale mail if they're a commercial or if they're a non-ham. And you can send this message, disconnect, wait a couple minutes, connect again, and you should get an answer back. If you get an answer back, you just proved that the gateway you chose has internet. And that's a great thing to know. That's a confidence builder. And I don't remember where I discovered that, but I've played with it. Leonardo was asking, do packets expire? I'm not sure what that means. What are we talking about here?
Oh, the ones you send over into the, did you say you send, like 100 kilobytes into your,
10 seconds.
I mean, do those expire when they hit could they expire or? So here's what happened. I had been working with a professional, software firm that had, stuff in the cloud, and they had their, backups going at different times. And what was happening is they had a backup that was set to UTC, universal time. And the
Okay.
other one was set to, like a Eastern Coast. And what was happening is data was getting overwritten because the timing of those backups was like happening during live sessions. And so, I mean, it was crazy. And I remember like experiencing like my data's being, like the work I'm doing is gone, like in these real-time sessions. And I'm just like, whoa, what is going on? And to find out that the Amazon web servers, some of them were dialed into, UTC because of international clients. And then, some of it was dialed into, and it was because of our time zone in Alaska that caused, some of the timing of these, which are normally dormant in different areas of, the East Coast and the timing of those servers. But it was strange. So that's why I mentioned that, because it was like, man, there's a bunch of work that I did that was gone. And, then trying to figure out and troubleshoot what was happening, that was pretty wild.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm having trouble understanding though how this relates to Winlink. What is your question about that?
Oh, like the data packets you send, do they get, do they expire or do they get overwritten or like?
I'm afraid I don't understand what that means. When you send a message from Winlink to a Winlink gateway, that gateway is connected to the Amazon backbone live. Your message is being transferred instantly. As long as that gateway is connected to the internet. If it isn't, they'll hold it until they get a connection back. But generally, they're connected to the internet, and it's being put on a server immediately, like instantly. Well, as soon as it's being sent. And I have great confidence that Amazon takes very good care of their server farms. So I don't have anything to contribute to your question, I'm afraid. It's not something we have to worry about. They do a very reliable, that's the business they're in. And their server farms are all over the globe purposely, so that if one of them goes down, everything's backed up someplace else too. And that's happening all the time, very quickly, I'm sure. Did I miss anybody's question? Let's see. Randy took off. Joe's gone. Vern, you're still here? Did you have a question again?
No, I think I just had a couple of technical things, like sometimes I get an AGW busy and a KISS busy, and I reboot and it's okay. I'm not sure what's causing that, but
Well, make sure, by the way, in your Winlink that you let it start up the VARA software for you. That's a setting in the session menu. You don't need to start the VARA software ahead of time. They added that to the program a year or so ago, so that's a step you don't have to do. So you just tell your Winlink Express, here's where my VARA FM software is. I think it was Randy who took off. When I went to help Elmer on his HF setup, the guy that had helped him before had set him up with the wrong VARA. He was trying to use the VARA FM program on the HF side. And nothing in Winlink Express told him that was wrong. So you got to get the right program. That's important. VARA HF and VARA FM are two distinct programs that are meant for two different bands. And you got to get the right one. And then you tell Winlink Express, okay, here's where it is on my computer. And then you never have to worry about it from that point forward. You start a VARA FM session, it automatically starts the VARA FM software. You start a VARA HF session, it starts the VARA HF software for you. And it makes it just super easy and fun to use. But sometimes I've seen that kind of error that you described. If for some reason I manually started VARA and then started Winlink Express and it tried to start VARA also, and now there's two VARAs running, and that gets everybody confused. So double check that you don't have two of them going.
I do have it corrected. So when I use VARA, that works fine.
Good.
I was using Packet, and then I took the radio up to the cabin, used it, come back, plugged it in here, and then I got those errors. And then it was corrected by just rebooting. It had nothing to do with VARA.
Okay, interesting.
So I don't know what the issue was.
Well, and sometimes the Windows, it's just Windows stuff. For instance, if there's some updates that need to be installed, I've seen Windows get very screwy. And by rebooting, you let it finish getting those updates installed, and then things seem to calm down. So that's from my PC support experience.
Well, I think everything's working for me, so
Good.
appreciate it.
Well, keep sending me messages if you want. Keep playing with it, and bring us your experiences so we can all learn. That's all I've got. Anybody else got anything? We got Steve, Ray. Who else is lurking out there? Vern's still here, but Randy's gone. Well, I think we're done for the night, guys.
Yeah, I just need to touch base with Ray after everybody else drops off.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.
Thank you, Ray.